And what is up, everyone? I am Joe the host. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline, and Jolene is sideways again. Uh,
I didn't even move
so,
the phone. I
okay,
have
I don't
not
know what
touched it.
happened.
It's paranormal.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's better.
Alrighty.
Um, yeah, so guys, just real quick, a couple of announcements. I want to let everyone know that tonight marks the final live broadcast of the show. I just wanted to thank everyone who's listening, my subscriber, everyone who supported me along the way. This isn't the end; it's just a new chapter. So starting next week, every Sunday at 7 p.m., I'll be uploading a new show. And you'll find those on YouTube and Spotify. Also on Nighthawk Radio. Look that up. You can just Google it. It's a radio station, internet radio. We got a bunch of great shows, and you can find different topics. They talk about everything there. So keep tuning in, keep sharing the show. Uh, Spread the word. If you have friends or family or you yourself have had encounters with anything strange and mysterious, shoot me an email beyond.woodline@gmail.com. And because it'll be pre recorded, you can remain anonymous. You don't have to be live on TV or on TV or on the internet. Um, and if um, I lost my place here. So if you got a story, yeah, just reach out and let me know, and I'd be happy to have you on the show. And that goes for researchers, investigators, like I said, eyewitnesses. Doesn't matter. Beyond.woodline@gmail.com. Just shoot me a story and we'll get started. And if you guys are interested also, I am the executive director for the JRG, which stands for the Jevning Research Group. It's headed up and founded by Mr. William Jevning. He's got over 50 years in the Bigfoot world. He was friends with Renee DeHenden and John Green since he was a teenager. And he's an excellent guy. We've got teams in New York State, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Louisiana, of course, here in Texas, where I'm at, New Mexico, California, and Oregon. And if you'd like to join one of these teams, shoot me an email. We'll get you guys started. We will vet you, and we vet anyone we set you up with because we want everyone to be careful because unfortunately, there are some crazy people in this world. If you're in a state and there's not a team there, we certainly network with a bunch of people. We can get you guys started that way too. Or if you just want to start your own team, and you can do that too. But like I say, we are going to vet you. So shoot me an email, beyond.woodline@gmail.com. With all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me ramble on all night. With me tonight, I've got Beth, Nancy, and Jolene from Lost Souls Paranormal Investigations. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
That's
Thank
good.
you for having us.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for doing the show. We got to talk a little bit before the show. We got some pretty interesting subject matter to cover so far, just in that little conversation. So, if you don't mind, Beth, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you started in this crazy field?
So, I've always had an interest in the paranormal, and Nancy and I are cousins, and I think that we have abilities to some degree, as do most of the people in our group. And I kind of think that that's what draws a lot of people to the paranormal because they can see and feel things that other people can't. And we have just a desire to, I have a million questions. Like, I want to know why these spirits
This is
are
true.
here. Nancy says I have too many questions, but I want to know, why are these spirits here? Are they trapped? Are they choosing to stay? I was in Gettysburg recently, and we like to do flashlight sessions. And I said to the spirit that I was talking to, "Are you trapped here?" And the flashlight stayed off. And I said, "Do you feel like you have unfinished business?" And the flashlight stayed off. And I said, "Do you not know why you're here?" And the flashlight went on. So I thought that was very interesting that even they don't know why they're here sometimes.
Mhm.
So Nancy and I have both investigated on an amateur level for around 20 years. And we did Rolling Hills Asylum together. And at one point, about 3.5 years ago, on Facebook that this other group was advertising for new members, and I said to Nancy, we got to do this, because
and that's where we met Jolene.
Yes, that's where we met Jolene. And because, it's hard to just jump into a group. It's not like there are a million people out there. If you're not already in this field, it's hard to start, Yeah. And so we joined this other group, and about a year and a half ago, we decided that it was time to strike out on our own. And so we did. And that's how Lost Souls was born, and Paranormal Investigations. And we got Jolene. She's one of the OGs for our group. And it's just grown unbelievably. Like, for a group that had no media presence a year and a half ago, we have over 1,300 followers on TikTok. And to me, that's just awesome. It's like, in such a short time, and the people we've met and the places we've been, it's great to me. It's a wild ride, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool story, and I like that. I think a lot of times people put a lot of emphasis on followers. Oh, I got 20,000 followers. You know what? I've got like 2,200 followers on TikTok, and to me, that's all that matters. Those people tune in to hear what I got to say or look at my crazy life. And if they're willing to do that, I'm glad I can bring some entertainment to their life. Yeah.
It's
What
also,
about you, Nancy?
I'm sorry. Yeah, talk, Nancy. Getting Nancy to talk is like pulling teeth.
Yeah. No, that's not I'm more of an evidence kind of person. I would rather sit there and just listen to
even during investigation.
Yeah, of an investigation. So I just, support Beth.
We need all of us. We need all the different kinds to make it all work.
Sure.
We all have our strengths.
Yeah.
And we all complement each other.
This is true. Yeah.
What about you, Jolene? What got you started into this field?
I have always been completely fascinated and in all of anything paranormal. And so I joined the same group that Beth and Nancy did. I joined it a little earlier, but we started at the same time because of COVID. But I was very happy to come along to their new group, and we have a lot of fun.
We do.
Yeah, that's true.
So as a team, what was y'all's first investigation together? Do you remember?
Wildwood? Was it Wildwood?
It might have been. It might have been Wildwood Sanitarium
Wildwood.
in Salamanca, New York.
Okay. And what was that like for you guys?
It was really cool because we not only caught EVPs, but we also heard things in real time. And it's really cool to hear something like we heard humming. And then when Nancy played it back on her recorder, you could hear the humming on the recorder as well. So it's validation, and at the time that we heard it in real time, Nancy said, because it was originally built in the late 1800s, and it was a place where they did alternative treatments like electric baths and things like that. And then in 1906, the county forced it to become a TB hospital. And when we heard this humming, Nancy said, "Oh, do the nurses hum while they work?" And she got an EVP saying no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very active place. We have really good flashlight sessions there.
Yeah, we get a lot from that place.
We get a lot of EVPs. We heard what we thought was Beth coughing. We've talked about on other shows as well. We all thought we heard her coughing in the bathroom, and she came out and she was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it sounded like you were hacking there.
Really?
They said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "What do you mean? I was just peeing." And they said, "Well, you were hacking up a lung." And I said, "No, I wasn't. I didn't cough at all." But they all heard somebody
Yeah.
hacking
very
buttons.
clearly, and it sounded
Wow.
like Beth, so it may have been a mimic. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but it was a
interesting.
TB hospital, so that makes sense, you
Yeah,
know.
and it's funny that everyone heard it, but you didn't hear it.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
hear anything.
Yeah. She looked at us like we were crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you talking about me being in the bathroom?
That's funny. So Nancy, I did want to ask you a question and put you on the spot. So you said you're more of like an evidence person.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
When we go to a location, I will put numerous recorders in different spots.
Mhm.
Like at the Hinsdale house, I put one down in the basement in the crawl space. I had one upstairs in the bedroom. I had another one in the living room and around the corner, and I just let them run. We have numerous cameras we set up. We take pictures. So after an investigation, I will go through and I will listen to all my recorders more than once to see if I caught anything. If I catch something, I log the time so I can go back and keep making sure it is what it was.
Okay. And is that like your primary role, or is that just something that
That's
you
what I
like
like to do. Yeah,
Okay.
I like to do that part. Beth
Which
is
is
more.
great because I'm horrible.
You're what?
I'm horrible at reviewing evidence.
Oh.
I have a hard time like getting it, hearing it.
Mhm.
I am getting better, but I also I just I have a hard time making myself do it.
I
Yeah.
got you.
I know. I just need to give it all to to Nancy.
Yeah,
And
just give it to me. We'll be good.
Yeah. Well, I'm really bad at that too. I've got SD cards, and I've probably got about 20 hours of audio that I've not even listened to. And from years ago, like 2012, 2013. We put recorders out everywhere, and I've got like 4 recorders, and
Mhm.
and then I just don't listen to them. I don't, mainly because my job is so loud, and then when I'm home, I don't want to listen to stuff. And usually my teammates will say, "Hey, we've heard this that was close to yours. Can you check it out and see if you picked something up too, right?" And so
Yeah.
I'll listen, and sometimes I'll be close enough to hear because we spread everything out. But one thing that was kind of crazy was that during COVID, when everybody was stopped working, a friend of mine, uh, Shane, called me up and says, "Hey, is this from your recorder?" And he had a file that I had sent him. I'm like, "Yeah, that's my recorder." He goes, "Listen to this." And there was something walking around on 2 feet around our tent that night, you know, and that was crazy. And we went out on this trip like in 2015. And like I said, I hadn't listened to it. He had listened to it, but since he was home during COVID, he decided to go ahead and check it out. So I was kind of glad he did that.
Yeah, I look forward to that kind of stuff.
Really, that's
Yeah, it's so when you catch it, you're like, oh,
yeah, yeah.
especially if we're asking questions about their life or something like that. They're
Mhm.
telling us their story.
Mhm.
So it's kind of cool to hear it.
Yeah. So you guys seem to have captured some pretty good evidence. Is there
Yeah.
any piece of evidence in particular that you're really proud of?
Yes. For me, it's when we were at Mid Orange Correctional in Warwick, New York,
Mhm.
and excuse me,
You're
I was
coughing.
doing
I heard you cough.
yeah, that time I did. I'll own up. But I was actually doing a flashlight session, so I was filming because of the flashlight session, and I had my K2 meter right next to the flashlight, and I had it turned on its side so that I could see because I wanted to know when the flashlight goes on, is the K2 meter also going up at the same time?
Mhm.
And the flashlight would go on, but then it wouldn't go back off. It would like splutter, and I was getting a little frustrated, and I had reset it probably 5 times. And right before, the whole clip itself was like 15 minutes plus long. The part I posted on the internet was just this one thing happening. But so the K2 had been on its side for 15 minutes. And the K2s, I don't know if you've ever turned one on its side, but when you turn it on its side, it's top heavy and it actually leans forward. So it was leaning forward by the flashlight. And I made some snide comment about, well, I guess you know how to turn the flashlight on, but apparently not off. And I went over and I had said that like I don't know, maybe a minute before, and I'd reset the flashlight yet again. And as I'm standing there watching it, I said, "Can you turn the flashlight on?" And something knocked my K2 backwards and knocked it over. That was my wow moment for me, because it took a lot of energy to take it from leaning forward and flip it
Right.
backwards. So I thought that was pretty cool.
What about you, Jolene?
Well, I think mine is one that we caught at an undisclosed location. Um, and it was actually a face that kind of materialized. If in the screen, it's very tiny. It's not much bigger than the light from the glow stick that was on the floor, but all of a sudden you see it, this like little spatter of light on the screen that turns into a face, and I'm like, holy crap, what is that? That it and it happened just after someone had said, did you see that? And they're a medium, and so they see things that the rest of us don't necessarily see all the time. And they had just said, there was a human arm that just came through that door. And then,
wow.
it was almost like that spirit walked down the hall towards the cameras, and this face materialized. So that was pretty cool.
What about you, Nancy?
I have a few, but I think the best one so far is the one we actually just. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm reliving Wildwood. Sorry.
The one that we just posted tonight from the Hinsdale house down in the crawl space. I would be interested in seeing what other people hear, but it sounds like it's a young woman, and from what I think she's saying is, I don't know what's happening. Oh, and she sounds very upset, and then all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'd like to know who that was and what was going on.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, that house has a large history to it, with a lot of people passing away. So it would be interesting.
Do you think maybe it's a spirit that doesn't realize they're not among the living anymore?
It could be. We weren't down there, so it was just a recorder, and I don't know if it's just somebody just reliving something or something that happened there that made that a large imprint down in there.
Yeah. It'd be interesting because I wonder if anybody else ever captured that. It'd be interesting to find out.
I would love to know. Yeah, if it's a woman, definitely, but she sounds like she's really young.
So there's a house here in Texas. It's called the Bolton House, and the guest I had on, I think she was last week. She had just went there, and I've been there before, and we were kind of talking about the place. And one of the things that I told her, I said, we captured a dog barking, and she goes, we got one too. We got one on recording too. So we're thinking that maybe it's just like a residual.
Yeah.
It's very possible, right? And then there's this one room, they called it the seance room. It was basically like a little kid's room, and they turned it into a seance room. But one of my team members was up there, and she got shushed. And in that same part of the house, they got shushed. Then they picked it up on the recorder too. So we're like under the impression that maybe there's just a lot of residual energy at that house,
right?
Which is still a great place to go to if you're ever in Texas and you go to the Bolton House, and you're gonna love it there. But yeah, we're just under the impression there's a lot of maybe residual energy. And like I said, it's just a great place. It's a beautiful house too. So if you ever go there, you'll enjoy yourself for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So have any of you guys ever been like legit scared?
I don't know if I would call it scared, but we had gone
Yeah.
Well, yes, I've been startled. I was at a place recently in Gettysburg called the Knoxlyn Ridge House, and we had met this guy Andy that manages this house, and we're actually going back there in October for our group trip. We're going to do the Knoxlyn Ridge House and the Jennie Wade House private investigations, but I wanted to go kind of check this Knoxlyn Ridge house out first before we booked the private investigation. And I'm not necessarily a fan of public investigations, being a part of one as a participant, because, sometimes people are more tourists than paranormal investigator, and they're loud. And so my husband and I had gone up in the attic, and we were the only ones up there. And I had turned off all the lights. I was trying to do a flashlight session. And there was a metal post up there that was probably 3 feet high. It was flat on top, and it was broad. It was probably 5 or 6 inches across the top of it, flat. And there was baseball on top of it. And they had some army men scattered around and whatnot. Excuse me. And so I'm focused on the flashlight, and all of a sudden I heard this loud noise, and it did make me jump sideways because it's completely dark and I wasn't expecting anything, and we're the only ones up there. And when I turned my flashlight on and shined it over there, something had sent the baseball flying, and it hit the wall and bounced off and fell down. That's what the loud noise was. So not scared, because, after you get over the initial, what the hell, it was cool. And it's like, Nancy hates it when I do this, but I go, can you do that again? So all the time. We wouldn't do it again, but I tried.
All the time.
I did. Well, because I'm very curious, as you know. So,
I know.
but that was really the only thing that's ever so far startled me.
Not even the
like
ship?
that.
The USS Salem?
No, I told you I asked to do it again.
Yeah.
We were on the USS Salem on our spring group trip, and that thing is huge. I don't know if you've ever been there,
No.
but it's huge, and it was kind of like a big maze to me. And I needed batteries, and I said to Nancy's brother Mike, I need batteries, but I can't figure out how to get back to the room where all our stuff is. So he said, I'll go with you. And we wound up stopping outside the dentist's office. And we were just standing there talking. And I don't even know why we stopped, but we heard this tapping over our head. And at first I was freaked out because I was afraid somebody had actually snuck onto the ship. And I was like, oh my God, there's robbers or something. But there was no way. The only way to get on the ship was locked. So you'd have to parachute down onto the ship or something in order to gain access. And as my cousin Mike and I are talking, and we're listening to the tapping, and I said, if that's you, can you do it again? And the tapping turned into banging. And now we're both a little freaked out by it. And so finally we were like, well, let's just go get the batteries. But as we're walking towards the room with the batteries in it, the banging followed us. Is banging all down the ceiling as we're walking. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, what about you, Jolene? Have you ever been startled or scared?
I usually say, as long as I have at least one person with me, I'm good. If I'm by myself, I'm a chicken, but safety in numbers, and I'm good. I mean, startled maybe, sometimes, in real life, I get startled too, but I don't much get scared anymore. I think part of that is I've kind of become very spiritual since I started doing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm much more grounded than I was. Side note, Hinsdale House, as soon as we got there, you guys can, I'm sure, attest to, I kept getting intense chills, which is what happens when I feel a spirit near me. And I kept getting them there. Well, when we left on the way home, one of our other group members, Logan, was riding home with me. And all of a sudden we're talking and I was like, oh, I was like, I think something's following me. And he's like, oh, no, no, no. So we're both like, okay, I already said my thing. You are not allowed to follow. You know, you need to get out of here.
Mhm.
Go back to where you came from. Nothing's allowed to follow. And the whole way home, I kept getting the intense chills. And I'm like, okay, this is not cool. So we got to Logan's house and I was like, I think you're forgetting something. And he's like, no, I have everything. I was like, well, you need to take whatever this is because I don't want to take it home with me. And he's like, oh, no, no, no. So I said, all right, you go. I'm just gonna tell it the whole way home. I'm just gonna tell it, you have to go now. And I did. And I think I haven't, I've had a few times at work that I felt something, but I don't know that that was the same thing. So I think it left before I got home,
Okay.
but the Hinsdale house was very, very active.
Yeah, well, actually, from the Hinsdale house, that's one of probably the more popular spots when people talk about stuff following them home. So,
Oh, there you go.
Thanks.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
keep
like a
it
lot
with you.
Nope,
yeah,
nope. I got
yeah.
rid of it. I told it on no uncertain terms. It could not stick around.
Yeah. So, like, what do you guys do before and after an investigation to, protect yourselves?
Well, I think that is one of the things that people don't think enough about.
Mhm.
When we had gone to a location early on, and I wrongly assumed that because I'm a Reiki master, I didn't need to bother to protect myself because I'm a Reiki master. Nobody's touching me.
Yeah.
And I did get affected by something. So we try to do kind of a generic protection because we have a mix of all kinds of people in our group. We have some Christians, we have some Wiccans, atheists. We don't want to offend anybody by, our words or anything. But at the same time, we want to make it clear that we just want to be protected by white light.
Right.
And nothing is, like Jolene said, nothing is going home with us.
Yeah, Jolene.
Hey, I said my own prayers before too. I always do, and I say them before we leave. And I don't know what happened, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. It didn't appear to be harmful or anything. Just wanted to stick around.
Yeah, I'm just like, you don't want to follow me, you'll be bored at my house. So
Not from what I hear. It is not boring at your house.
But they can go over evidence with you. So,
yeah,
There you go.
That's right.
I'll be like, what did you hear?
Is this you?
What did you say? What was
Yeah,
this?
can you say it again, please?
That's right.
Can
you
you
do it
speak
again?
more clearly, please?
Yeah, and then you can criticize them. You've got to, when people are asking you questions, you got to speak
Can you
clearly.
speak up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get a little
Yeah,
closer to that mic.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I don't overdo it when I go in because I've always just like, if I've done it, then nothing will happen to me, you know. And
See,
so I
that's
do it when I leave, Yeah.
my husband, for my birthday last year, I think it was, we rented a place with some of my friends. And when we got there, he was like, okay, I don't want anything in our room. And I was like, wait, don't say that. And he's like, and he just went down this whole list and he was like, we were doing our prayers and then he was like setting it up. And when he was in the room, nothing happened. The second he walked away, everything started to happen. He comes back, nothing again. So he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so strict about it. So now I'm like, don't go overboard.
Yeah, before we came on, I was telling you about the house I used to live in, and that was one of the things we said. We spoke it out loud. Hey, you can stay. We'll coexist. As we know it's your house. Just don't scare us.
Yeah,
Don't scare us. And the kids, there were, I think my oldest was probably, I don't know, 15, 16, and my youngest was maybe 12 or 13, something like that. So, we said don't scare the kids either. But one night I woke up and there's a lady standing next to my bed. All I saw was her outline, her silhouette. She was wearing a dress, and she was standing there, and that scared the hell out of me. And when she moved towards me, and I threw a kick, and I said, "Get out, you MF!" Oh, and but she wasn't trying to scare me. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't like trying to like I'm gonna get you. I don't know why she moved towards me, but she did, and it scared the hell out of me. And it was right after that, immediately I was like, I knew she wasn't trying to scare me, but it certainly startled me. And I don't
Yeah.
think I went back to sleep the rest of the night, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I just bought a new house in November. And when we first moved in, we were doing stuff in the basement, and our mattress was, because we found out we had water in the basement. So our mattress was in the middle of the living room. Okay. And he was doing something on the other side of the house, and I was going to bed. And just as I started to doze off, I felt something kind of just gently brush my head, but like, I mean, like it definitely touched me, not just like, was that something? No, I was like half asleep, and I woke up and I was like, hey, I'm trying to go to sleep. You're welcome to stay, but kind of just let me sleep. And I started to doze off again, and it did it again. And I was like, look, I know this is your home. And the previous owner, the husband did pass. I don't know if he passed in the home or not. They didn't tell me, so I assume not. But I don't. They did build the house, the couple that we bought it from.
Okay.
So I'm sure that it means a lot to him, and he was probably there. So I did tell him, hey, this is your home, and we love it, and we're gonna take care of it, and you're welcome to stay here. But I need to sleep, so just give me some space. And it hasn't happened again. So
Yeah. That's always a fun thing too. Having the ghost that lives in the house, and I don't know, is ghost the right word? Spirit, of the previous owner, and we really, we respected them, and then they respected us. I think so. That was really nice. It was a really nice relationship we had with them. So out of you three, who's the most skeptic?
Hmm. I think it's good to be a skeptic.
Yeah.
And I think in our group, we really all are, because we always try to debunk first.
Mhm.
And like, if something fell off a shelf, we'll put it back on the shelf, and we'll be, stomping back and forth to see if maybe somebody was walking and the vibration.
Dwayne is a good debunker.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Dwayne. Yeah.
But we're not the kind of people, like I always joke that we'll never be on TV because we're not dramatic enough. And we're really not. We, like Jillian said, I had, my last house was very haunted, and electronics used to go off 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I had a wireless doorbell that would go off. The first time it happened was around 2 a.m. And I was more scared that there was a human on my doorstep ringing the bell. So I kind of crept out, and I looked out, and there was nobody there. And by about the third or fourth night in a row that this happened, I was like, could you stop waking me up? I was just annoyed, but I think it's good that we all bring a level of skepticism, because we don't want to just assume that everything that ever happens is paranormal.
Mhm.
We want to make sure that we know what we're talking about when we make
And
it.
then we're really excited when we do find it.
We are, yes, for like little kids.
Yeah, that kind of goes on in the Bigfoot world, that you guys probably seen every black shadow stump is a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And what drives me crazy is that go follow up with this picture. Do some kind of follow up before you post it. Go the next day or the next week, whatever, and see that figure still there. I
Right.
think you have to do stuff like that. But I was going to ask you, because you mentioned the baseball, right, where it got thrown. I personally think there's a lot more paranormal stuff in the woods and in the forest and what people think, and it all gets lumped in there with Bigfoot. Have you guys ever done any kind of outside investigations anywhere?
You know, you can throw a million ghosts at me and it does not scare me, but I am afraid of the living things that are out in those dark woods. So have we been like
We did at Hinsdale House.
Yeah, we went outside of Hinsdale House, but would I purposely go out in the woods looking for living things?
No, she wouldn't.
No, probably not.
No, I follow a lot of stuff about like the Appalachian lores and, you know, things like that. And I love all of that, but that does scare me a little bit more than,
I
you
love
know.
to watch other people do it.
Yeah, oh yeah. But that is a little bit scary to me because it's so wide open and you just don't know. I mean, and because it could be a, you know, a living animal too, you know, which is
Right.
Well, you know,
scares me
even
at night
worse,
too.
They have the
even worse
potential
could be a
to harm
person.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like here in Texas, we have a place called Bragg Road. It's in East Texas. It's maybe an hour east of where I'm at, and I'm in Houston. I guess you guys didn't know. And it's a place I've been to before several times, but I've never gone out there on Bragg Road looking for the spirits or the light that people see. You know, would that be something you guys would, if you had a road wherever you're at, and they say, "Hey, there's a light out there," would you guys ever go do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done stuff like that, and
Okay.
in Gettysburg, you know,
Okay.
there's a place called Sachs Bridge. We've been there, and yeah, we would definitely do that. But again, they're not living beings that can harm us. I don't want anything with claws coming after me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm more worried about people than I am anything else. You know.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have coming up? Do you guys have any investigations coming up?
Yeah. We've got, let's see, this is the 22nd. We have our group trip to Gettysburg, October 10th through the 13th, where we're doing the Knoxlyn Ridge House and the Jennie Wade House. Then on October 18th, we are part of the Global Ghost Hunt competition. And we will be live streaming from there from Haunted Tully Lodge in Tully, New York. And then on, let's see, November.
We have Wildwood.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're doing Wildwood Sanitarium on both November 1st and 15th.
Yeah.
On October 24th and 25th.
Yes.
We are doing a public event at a place called the Barnes Hiscock Mansion in Syracuse, New York. And we are doing a public event at the 1890 House on November 22nd. So
we're doing a Haunted Tully Lodge on Halloween. They're having a party and ghost hunt and all of that after.
Yes. So we're very, very busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys stay busy, man. That's pretty cool, you know. And I'm glad you guys are on TikTok and other social media, and you know, started your YouTube channel. That's that's pretty cool. People will like that a lot, you know.
Yeah, I really want to. I do the social media, and you know, the problem is we all have jobs because this doesn't pay the bills. So time is kind of my enemy, but I do want to start getting more out on YouTube for sure. And we are in talks, Jolene, Nancy, and I, about developing our own podcast.
Oh, nice.
So you can be a guest on ours.
And we would love any tips.
Yeah. Just have fun with it. That's the biggest tip, man. Just have fun with it, you know.
We're good at that.
Well, good, yeah. And Nancy will do all the talking. So there you
go. It'll be a long hour.
So snacks.
Usually you pop in and be like, they're still there. Oh man.
So one thing I did want to ask you guys, you know, in so many groups and people on TV, everything is demonic, right? Everything is evil and out to get you. Have you guys ever ran into something not friendly
No, we even did the Conjuring House, and
Okay.
Yeah.
that was fine.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, we've had people, we've had the angry, get out of
Right.
here kind of thing, but nothing
Yeah.
beyond.
Nothing bad.
We've encountered grumpy
Yeah.
ghosts, but I think the truly evil entities are few and far between.
Mhm.
And I think, people are afraid of what they don't understand. And so I think anytime any grumpy entity or spirit comes along, they just automatically assume,
Right,
Well,
yeah.
and you also manifest, I mean, if
right.
that's what you're looking for, that's what you think you're going to find, then, you probably will.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And we're
I-
always very respectful. We always, when we're doing flashlight sessions or whatever, we always say, could you please turn on the flashlight? And when they do, we say thank you every time, over and over and over.
We introduce ourselves when we walk into the house because it's not our home, it's their home, and we're just strangers walking into their home. So we
Right.
always introduce ourselves, because if I came downstairs and there's people standing in my home, I wouldn't want to talk
Get
to
out!
you, right?
Yeah.
So we always are polite. We walk in, we introduce ourselves. So
Yeah, I think that does make a big difference.
Yeah, I'd be mad too if somebody kept saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, hey, speak into this, speak into this." Yeah,
What is your name?
Yeah.
for the 1,000th time, Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and
It's funny you say that. They get annoyed sometimes, I think, when you ask the same questions that probably every other group that's been in there has asked, the same, what's your name?
Right.
Over and
So-
over.
We try to ask creative things like, what was your favorite thing to eat? What season did you like best?
There you
Did
go.
you have a dog? Just
and those
out
are
of the
actually
ordinary.
probably more validating questions.
Right.
Yeah.
We did. We were at one location and I had asked, do you like dogs? Because we had been told the person there did not like dogs. And we did get an EVP saying no.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
not a dog person. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, and we've also found that when we're having our own kind of discussions, like while setting up or, having our little break snack time or whatever, whoever's recording, like that's a lot of times when we get, yes, that's usually Nancy. But we usually get the best, EVPs during the times that we're not really talking to them specifically. We're talking amongst ourselves, then they're joining in.
Right. If
Right.
we're joking around, somehow they always give some kind of response.
Right.
Yeah. We have a clip on YouTube. I almost think it was the very first clip I ever posted. And Nancy and I, we're not even actually investigating. We're setting up for the investigation. And I had my flashlight on one side, she had hers on the other. And I was like, you know what? If you like me better, can you just turn on my flashlight? And mine went on. And she was like, hey, wait a minute. And so she said, you can turn mine on. You like me too. And then hers went on. And it's like 2 minutes of us going back and forth. No, I think you like me better. And the spirits were playing into it. And they were turning the flashlights on and off. And then they turned both on. And it was really cool. I think, just because you're not in this plane of existence anymore, if you were a fun loving kind of person in life, I think you still can be when you're not alive anymore, and I'm sure they can, just like they react negatively to negative people, I think they react positively to people that are always joking around and having fun too.
oh yeah, for sure. And do you think these spirits know that they're not among the living?
Sometimes, but not always.
Mhm.
That's what I find very interesting. Like with the guy who said he didn't know why he was still there.
Right.
I don't know, what happens. That's one of my big questions. What happens? How do you not know you're dead?
Right.
But I do think sometimes they are confused and they really don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't. It's tough kind of a question. Like you're in your house and there are people there that can't seem to hear you or see you all the time, and they seem to sense you every now and then or something, or know that you're doing something. Yeah, it's just a weird thing, and I just always wondered like, why are they in this house? And like you were kind of mentioning about uh, the haunted house, and you didn't know if the people had passed there or not. The house that I lived in, they didn't pass there. They went to what do you call it? A hospice, and you know they passed there, but they were there at their house, you know, in the afterlife. So maybe they went to the one place they were familiar with, and then knew the
Right.
other one would be there. You know,
Yep. They're home.
yeah, they're home. I got a whole list of questions for you. So, what's your favorite kind of tools to actually use? And Nancy, I want you to answer that one. What's your favorite tool?
My favorite is just a recorder with a mic.
Okay.
That's my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jolene, what about you? What do you like?
I like to have a mic on my recorder, but I prefer to listen to my recorder with my headphones because it
Mhm.
has like an amplifier, and so I can hear in real time sometimes the EVPs as they come through. And
Okay.
so that's kind of my favorite tool to use. I have a bunch of other stuff, but that's my main, can't be without.
What about you, Beth? What do you like to use?
Flashlight. That's my,
Okay.
we all have our own go-to things, and the flashlight is mine. I seem to have the best success with that. Like I can say, can you touch the REM pod? I don't have them close. And they don't. But if I say, will you turn the flashlight on, please? They usually do.
I wonder why they like that so much.
I don't know. You
Yeah.
know, we were at a place, Nancy and I, and we didn't think, it was kind of early on in our professional investigating careers, and you don't always think about the time period that these people are from.
Right.
So I had the flashlight up, and I'm saying to this man, can you turn the flashlight on? And at first nothing was happening, and afterwards I listened to the recording, and I got this EVP. When I said, can you turn the flashlight on? It said, how?
Oh.
And I didn't stop to think at the time. The man died in 1892. Probably doesn't know what the hell a flashlight is. And here I'm telling him, you know. So I can totally see why he would be yelling how at me, because he had no idea. So now we try to explain to the spirits, you know, this is the flashlight and this is how it works, and we'll show them how you twist the mag light. And we'll even say, I don't know if you have to twist it or if you can just touch it and your energy, you know, makes it turn on, but this is what it is. So we try to be more cognizant of things like that.
Yeah, like I like the recorder also, you know, to do EVP sessions. But one piece of equipment that some friends brought down, they were from Canada. They came down here to do some paranormal stuff with us, and they had noise canceling headphones like construction workers use, and those things work amazing. I mean, you can hear every little creak and crack, right? And anything loud around you, you're not going to hear it. But the only drawback is that they don't record, of course. Uh, So like if you hear, so it's always best to have like two people with them on. That way they can kind of validate off each other that, hey, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard it. But man, those things work so great. I mean, you can pick up the slightest little noise in the house or even in the woods. We were hearing footsteps, and nobody else could hear them, of course. But we had them on our heads. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I don't have the set yet, but I think I'm gonna pick up a set as soon as possible.
It's interesting. We'll have to add that to our list.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the glow sticks. I like that you guys do that because I don't think enough people use glow sticks, and or like the little jingle bells. I like leaving those like on the doorknob, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, those are pretty cool too. And we had it was a glow stick, and we had it hanging from like the door jamb, right in the middle of the door. And man, everyone saw like a face because it was a blue stick, and you could see like this blue face, on the other side of it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was something visible that we all saw. So
That's
I
would be
like
like, can you do that again?
yeah.
Let me get my phone. Take a
That's what she's
picture.
like, hold on 1 second, hold on.
Nancy, get in the picture.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
If you move over a little more.
yeah. So, what is your favorite place so far that you guys investigated? You guys have a favorite spot?
Mid Orange, I would say, and then it would have to be Hinsdale House for me.
For me, it's hard to pick just one because we've been so many places that are just amazing. Definitely the once in a lifetime trip that we took was the Conjuring House.
Yeah.
To be able to say I've been to the Conjuring House.
Yeah.
We did get some activity there. We felt we were all sitting at the dining room table and we could feel like a cat walking around brushing against our legs. And
oh wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I felt somebody put their hand on my shoulder in the dining room. And one of our team members, Jackie, we were getting ready to leave actually that day. And she said, let's go upstairs and play the clapping game. And honestly, I didn't even remember what the clapping game was, but I said, okay. So we went upstairs and I was filming her with my phone and we're just walking around and she was clapping. And we got to the very last bedroom, which was the one at the end.
Yes, I know what you mean.
She clapped and you could hear a response. And we were both so shocked at that. She was leaning over and she stood straight up and said, was that a clap? So even though that's what we were looking for, we didn't really think that was going to happen because, you never know how much of the movie is authentic and how much is Hollywood. But that really did happen. So I would say that probably is the one that will stand out that we've been to for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Jolene?
I would say between Hinsdale House and the Shanley. It was another birthday gift. If you're starting to sense a theme, my husband took my best friend and I, and we were up in the what's it called up there? With the ladies of the night. I can't
Bordello.
Yeah.
Yes, in the bordello.
Yeah.
And my husband was in one room, and my best friend and I went in the room right up against it to the left. And we were kind of taking some pictures in there, and he was taking pictures in the other room. And we had our back to the door that it's like these big, heavy, solid wood doors with a big rubber wedge under it. And we're standing there taking pictures, and all of a sudden the door pushes into us, and we're like, whoa, what was that? And so we ran, out the door, and to my husband, we're like, you would believe what just happened, And so we said, well, maybe Frank was, he was the bodyguard or whatever. And I said, well, maybe Frank was, trying to get us out of there. And I said, Frank, if that was you, can you do it again? And that door did the same thing. And I'm like, this is insane. See, I copied Beth. Can you do it again?
Well, dude, that's great. That's great.
But yeah,
sometimes you don't run to the noise.
You don't always run to the noise.
That's my theory.
But
sometimes you don't always run to the noise.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
we ended the
I
night.
hear a voice on the hall go, here, you're going to go, oh, I got to go.
Well,
We ended the night there up on the third floor, which when I went back there again, I had no desire to go up on the third floor. That had some dark energy. But we had a lot of activity up there. And the final straw was we were using the Phasma box and we were talking to the serial killer that lived up there. That's who we assume we're talking to. And he was saying things, and I was like, so you tortured them? Or, you know, because he said torture. And he said, I will choke you. And we're like, okay, let's go. We're done up here. And as we were leaving, we heard a little girl's like screaming in the distance. And we all three of us looked at each other like, what the heck? And we went downstairs, and there was another couple that was still up. They were the only other ones up. And they were sitting on the front porch having a cigarette. And we said, did you hear that? We heard a girl screaming. It sounded like it was coming from outside. And they were like, no, we've been out here for a little bit. We didn't hear anything. But the little girl that lived there, Rosie, was said she fell and died in the well across the street. So we think that it may have been her, but we all heard it like with our own ears very clearly. Like it sounded like there was a real little girl outside screaming.
That's crazy, man. We're coming to the end, but I got to ask you, did you go check to see if you could find a well?
We did. We walked over there. We didn't, there wasn't much to see per se. There was a little cap or whatever on it, but
Okay.
there wasn't anything there.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. Really cool story. Thanks for sharing that. But we are coming up at the end of the show, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to give out your contacts, your social media, where people can find you, whatever you want to share, where you're going to be, whatever you guys want to give out.
So on YouTube, we're Lost Souls Paranormal NY. On TikTok, it's lost.souls441. On Instagram, I cannot remember what it is at this moment. Facebook, it's a bunch of numbers, but if you look up, so I have noticed there's a lot of like Lost Souls Paranormal. So sometimes I think it's hard to find us, but on Facebook, just search on Lost Souls Paranormal Investigations. And if you see a picture of the Grim Reaper with like a teal background, that's us. Otherwise, it's our logo with the graveyard scene.
Cool. And Miss Sandra says, thank you for a good show. Have a good rest of your night, and God bless.
Thank you. You
Hey,
too.
Sandra, I don't know if you heard at the beginning. This is my last live show. They'll all be pre-recorded, but shoot me an email. I want to send you something because you're like my longtime listener. Sandra's been listening to me ramble on since the very beginning. So Sandra, send me an email, beyond.woodline@gmail.com. I want to send you something. And everyone else, like I said, you'll see the show Sunday. It'll be at 7 p.m. I look forward to this new chapter, and I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys, thanks a lot for being my final guest on my live show. So it was great.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you. We appreciate
and
it.
if you guys ever have anything you want me to share for you, just tag me in it, send me the link, whatever. I'll be happy to do that for you guys.
We appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And if you're ever down in Texas, come visit. You got to come visit. I'll take you Bigfoot.
Absolutely.
If you're ever in Central New York, look us
Okay.
up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Don't go anywhere. You guys hold on.
All right.
Okay.